Sunrise School Board of Trustees meeting this evening on June 15th of 2021. We'll call the meeting to order at 7:11 p.m. And I just want to make a note that our board chair, Mr. Magnon, Trustee Magnon, sorry, is trying to join us and having some technical difficulties. So he may join us, and I just wanted to throw that out there. In attendance tonight, we have all 9 trustees. So we have Trustee Duma, Trustee Reed, Trustee Inslee, Trustee Nicol, Trustee Barry, Trustee Rowland, and myself. Sorry, we have 8 trustees because Trustee Magnon's not here. We also have our Superintendent, Kathy Timko, our Secretary Treasurer, Scott Carlton, our Assistant Superintendent, Jackie Julian, and we also have our Maintenance Manager, I believe, or sorry, our IT.
No, maintenance, you're right, sure.
Maintenance Manager, sorry. Derek Ryback. My apologies. So the first 1.2 is we'll do O Canada, and it'll be from École Dugold. Thank you to École Dugold for O Canada. And moving on to 1.3 is the treaty acknowledgement. And I'm sure Trustee Magnon has asked one of the trustees to read the acknowledgement.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, yeah, I was asked to do that, so I will proceed. This is Trustee Barry.
Thank you, Trustee Barry. Trustee Barry, you might be muted, sorry. Trustee Barry, are you there?
Yeah, I just unmuted myself there. Okay, well, I kicked out again here, just hang on. We acknowledge the traditional land upon which Sunrise School Division resides as Treaty Territory 1. We honor our partnership with Canada's original peoples and respect the gifts of Indigenous history, culture, and language. We commit to moving forward in partnership with our communities in a spirit of collaboration and reconciliation.
Thank you, Trustee Barry. Moving on to 2.1 is the adoption of the agenda. Be it resolved that the board approve the agenda. Do I have a mover?
Harris.
Trustee Harris moves. Do I have a seconder?
Trustee Rowland.
Trustee Rowland seconds. Are there any comments or questions? Okay, so hearing none, we'll call the question. Stacy, we're good on ESB?
Yes, but actually
taking that back. I'm not sure if Trustee Mangan was actually logged on to ESB. So if he is not, we may need to pull it back and do by hand. I'll let you know though in 1 minute. Looks like he might have voted, so we might be good.
It appears that way, yes.
Jared, I think I see Trustee Magnon has now made it.
Trustee Magnon is now in the meeting. Okay, so we'll just get through, we'll finish off this. Trustees Duma and Inslee, we're just waiting for.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I've been kicked off of ESB also. Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll just wait. While we're waiting, so I'll just make another comment that I forgot to make. So if you the motion passed 8 in favor and 1 opposed. So you know what, actually Trustee Magnon has joined us, I believe. Trustee Magnon, can you confirm you're with us?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you just great, yeah.
Okay, so my screen is not like any other screen, so great that we're going, and it looks like I've joined, so it looks like I'll try to see how we can get through this.
All right, so you know what, before I'll just, you know, you missed the beginning there, so I'll just make the one comment. So we're just at 3.1, Paul, Chair's comments. And I forgot to mention earlier at the beginning of the meeting that if any of the members of the public had questions, that they can email their questions to scarlton@sunrisesd.ca. So that was scarlton@sunrisesd.ca. And I will hand the floor over to our chair, Mr. Trustee Magnon.
Well, thanks for doing that, Trustee Petruski. So we're at 3.1, Chair's comments. Certainly I led off the meeting last time thinking about what our schools were doing with regard to the issue that is happening now, certainly across Canada, with regard to the children. I certainly want to share a story where, do you know, up at Powerview School, there's a number of activities the students are doing, whether they're painting in the front of the school or hanging ribbons in the trees out by the school. And I know a lot of schools are going ahead and doing this. So certainly kudos to the staff at Powerview School for working with the kids about every child. Lives matter. So thank you for going ahead and doing that. Share a story. Is there anybody who wants to share a story?
Hi, this is Trustee Roland.
Go ahead, Diane.
I just wanted to share a really wonderful thing that has happened in Oakbank Elementary, actually. Ms. Latrofa's grade 2 class has put together a very powerful and beautiful poem, which turned into a book and has been narrated on YouTube, called Gone But Never Forgotten. The grade 2 children put this together. It's really touching and moving. It's in response to the tragic news out of BC. And it was featured also in CTV News. It is on YouTube if anybody wanted to look that up. And it has had an impact in the community, and it was very, very moving and touching. And I just wanted to commend her on the efforts, and the children did a fabulous job. Thank you.
Thanks,
I also
Diane.
wanted to say, actually, I also wanted to just, say congratulations to all the graduates this year in June and finishing up their exams as best they can. And I just want to wish everybody really well summer, and thank you for all the hard work this year.
Thanks, Diane. Great comment. Anyone else?
Trustee Duma, I'd like to just reiterate Trustee Roland's comments. I think it's been an incredible year for our students and staff, but especially to say thank you to everyone to winding up the school year, and wish the best for the grads and the grad ceremonies at the end of the year for all of our high schools.
Thanks, Trustee Duma. Anyone else? So I want to reiterate that as well. And thanks, Trustee Roland and Trustee Duma, for reminding me, is that, our staff, whether you're a bus driver, whether you're a custodian, a teacher, a principal, it's been a long year, and thank you for the work that you went ahead and completed. and our division office staff for the work that they've done, to our senior administration. You know what, this summer is going to be a time certainly for you to look to recharge your batteries, because you've been going flat out, and thanks for the hard work that you're putting in for us. We appreciate it very, very much. And you know what, I know the schools, the 4 high schools, the 5 high schools, you know, working towards grads and trying to make it as best they can for the kids. Thanks for the staff for going ahead and doing this. I can tell you that it's tough being a grade 12 student over the last grade 11, grade 12 over the last couple of years. And certainly our schools are working to try to make this as memorable grad as by following the health regulations. So thank you for that. Anyone else want to add? Kathy, did you want to add anything?
No, I think I have some of the same sentiments in my report, so I'll put them there.
Okay. So thanks for doing that. We're going to go on to board delegation and operation presentation. Scott, I'm going to let you introduce it.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. So we have Derek Ryback tonight, our operations and maintenance manager. Obviously, periodically, we have some of our operations folks, whether it's transportation or finance or ICT, come and present to the board on some of the happenings. Just a little bit different tonight. What we've done in past years is actually once a year or even more, we've talked about prepare a tour for trustees to go around the division and see some of our facilities and look at some of the projects that have been done over the year. Obviously, given our current pandemic environment, it was something we sort of put the halt on this year. We didn't want you know, a bunch of us traipsing around schools when we could avoid doing so. So what we did is ask Derek to maybe put together even just a quick video of some of the happenings and what's going on over the school year and some of the projects that he's undertaken in our facility. So I'm going to let probably play the video. It's 6 minutes, so not too long. Certainly accept any questions. But Derek, I understand just recently was celebrating his 25th year at Sunrise School Division. He's certainly an asset for us at the division here. Derek, if you want to, while I'm kind of queuing this up, I think you've got a couple of things to give to some folks. Fantastic job on the video here, by the way.
Yes, thanks, Scott. Yes, it was actually quite a different way of having a tour, going through the video process. It was challenging at times. When I went to a site and I did my video, at times it didn't look good, maybe because my hands weren't that steadily and I was shaking a little bit of a nervous side, making sure I capture everything. However, I had a great team of people to work with this video, and some of the folks that were involved with it were from Ecole Parview School, Blaise Salmons, which is secretary. She did the video for the Parview School portion, and then we had 2 ladies from Ecole Edward Schreier School, Mary Stanky and Erin McCallum Ramillard, which did the editing and putting the lovely video together, and also Rita Ness, my secretary, that took the time also, and myself to do the wording of the video, to caption the highlights of the projects that happened in Sunrise in 2020 and 2021.
Thanks, Derek. We'll queue it up here, and then certainly Derek will be available for questions after.
Welcome. Today, we are going to show you the diligent work and upgrades that have gone into the schools in the Sunrise School Division during the 2020-2021 school year. Our first video today shows the new water bottle filling station installed at Hazel Ridge School. Due to the current pandemic environment, it is extremely important to have systems that reduce the transfer of germs. While we are hopeful for the end of this pandemic, water bottle filling stations provide high-quality drinking water while reducing waste. The majority of our schools already did have at least 1 filling station. We made this a high priority to increase the bottle filling stations. There were 16 others installed throughout the division, giving us 20 filling stations in total that were purchased. A new well was drilled on May 29th at Hazel Ridge School to provide reliable and ample supply of water for the students and staff, and to ensure no ground particles enter into our drinking water treatment plant to ensure optimum performance. The depth of the well was 177 feet. we installed an ultraviolet light and water filtration and purification system at Hazel Ridge School. This type of system has been used for over 100 years to make our drinking water safe. The ultraviolet light is an effective disinfectant system as it disinfects water by inactivating bacteria chloroform such as E. coli, viruses, etc. Prior to water reaching the ultraviolet light systems, we have water filters that are necessary to help prevent living organisms from hiding on loose particles. Other facilities that have these systems in Sunrise School Division are Springfield Middle School, Springfield Collegiate, and Oakbank Elementary. All other facilities are on town water supply and no additional water treatment is required. At Ecole Edward Trier School, Phase 1 of the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning project was completed. This project consisted of replacement of old existing hot water and steam boilers with 2 air-cooled boilers. These are high efficiency and considered the gold standard in hydronic heating for nearly 20 years. Lac du Bonnet Senior School, Oakbank Elementary, and Ecole Dugald School also have these boilers. They deliver energy savings and reduced maintenance costs. Each classroom has its own control to monitor heating and cooling. A humidifier to control moisture was also installed in the band room to prevent damage to the musical instruments stored in this room. A new suspended ceiling and LED lighting was upgraded and installed in the 1970s sections of the hallways and the multi-purpose room. Specialized LED lighting was also included in the music room. LED lighting products are brighter and produce better light quality than traditional light applications. Due to the COVID pandemic, rock glass partitions were installed at all reception desks throughout the division. The existing office at Ecole Powerview was age expired and in much need of a renovation. This ergonomically designed office included new ceiling, lighting, workstations, carpet, and painting. Lighting was also upgraded to LED fixtures, along with interior wall painting. COVID-19 forced us to rethink our security solutions by introducing enhanced video intercom security. Video entry intercom systems have been installed throughout the division at all sites. As seen here at Oakbank Elementary, this system is an overall enhancement to security in our Sunrise facilities. We can implement scheduled times for doors to lock automatically, and fobs can be assigned to staff. Visitors can also use the video entry system to request access to the building during specific time frames, resulting in increased safety of students and staff. First impressions of this system have been positive as visitors and parents recognize the security we have in place prior to entering the facility. Due to this system, we have increased efficiency by not having to have staff open and close doors throughout the day. Thank you to all the contractors who worked diligently on these renovations. Video editing and compilation by Blaise Salmons, Mary Stanky, and Aaron McCallum Remlard. Script writers, Rita Ness, Derek Ryback, Maintenance Manager.
Thanks very much, Derek, for going ahead and doing that. Derek, did you want to add anything to that?
Actually, I'd just like to elaborate on a few things. I have a few minutes. I believe I have like 10 minutes in total for tonight. So I'll use every minute up I can. Things
So
are
you're
looking...
at 9 minutes. You're 9 minutes and 45 seconds.
Okay, let me get to the point faster. Things are looking good in Sunrise. I've been looking at some of the upcoming projects for 2022. We have approximately $7 million of projects that Central Services has provided Sunrise. And some of those projects include 2 science labs, one at Ecole Parview School, one at Whitemouth School, exterior wall upgrade in the 1960 section of Ecole Edward Schreyer School, partial roof replacement at Oakbank Elementary, and the big major project is the 1960 section of Springfield Collegiate, which includes a wall replacement, a partial roof replacement, and heating and ventilation and air conditioning upgrade. So things are looking very positive and very busy for 2022. 2021, also a lot of projects on the go. We have phase 2 Edward Schreyer School project that's on its way right now as we speak. That project value is about $2.8 million. And we have some little projects that are going on with some cabinetry upgrade, some lighting upgrades at Springfield Middle School and Parview School, Ecole Parview. We have a rooftop unit that we're looking at replacing at as well as at Ecole Parview, and miscellaneous flooring jobs and asphalting repairs. And yeah, things are going really well in the maintenance department. And again, it's lots of this great things are happening because we have a lot of great contractors working for us. And again, my staff did an excellent job throughout the year. There's a very hectic year to the COVID. They stepped up to the plate and performed really well. I'm very proud of my team of people that we have, and Sunrise is going in a very positive direction.
Thanks, Derek. Yeah, I did want to comment that I did receive a number of letters from the province over the last little while and have been forwarding to the rest of the board about all the projects, the summer projects that we've been getting. You've talked about the walls and the science labs and those kind of things. So kudos to you. I don't know how it seems like somebody's spending an awful lot of money, and there's a lot of things that are going on certainly in our division. So kudos to you for the work that you're putting together with your team and us to be successful in getting a lot of these projects. So kudos to you for that work. So is the plan that all of these projects will be completed before we start school?
The ones for 2021 year, yes. The major one that we have that we're watching very closely, and it's a very tight window, is the Edward Schreyer School Phase 2 project, which includes the replacement of 7 rooftop units and new suspended ceiling throughout the 1960 section with LED lighting. So there's lots of demolition to take place, and the units for the roof looks like they're in schedule to arrive sometimes in July and the first week in August. Weather permitting, we've got a very tight schedule and a lot of work to take place. Our goal is to have as much as we can done prior to September's school startup. If things for some reason, unforeseen conditions do arise, we're going to do our best to make sure that the students are in the facility and things are safe for the staff and the students when they arrive.
Thanks, Derek. Are there any other questions for Derek from any other trustees?
Trustee Peczkowski?
Go ahead.
It's not really a question, and I think just echoes, but great work for the entire group that worked on that video. I thought it was fantastic. And I actually did want to make note, I didn't speak during the share story, but it kind of ties into this video. And I wanted to share a story out of ESS. A local business, East Crete Ready Mix, donated some concrete, and when they were approached by the shops teacher there, Mr. Cusick, and so they donated some concrete, and the students there in the class had poured a pad and built some benches that are going to go on that pad, or that are now there. So I just wanted to share that story. I thought it was really cool and a really good reflection of of the communities that we reside in, and some of the work that's going along, you know, between the communities and our schools. And I thought that was just a wonderful thing. So I just wanted to share that. And thanks again, Derek, for all your work.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Derek or comments?
Trustee Duma, could I just ask a question, comment?
Absolutely.
First of all, I think there's a lot of work going on here. It's wonderful to see the video that you just shared. So thank you very much for that. I really miss having gone into the schools this year. But I guess sometimes the things that we don't think about as trustees are the maneuvering that maintenance has to do when you start to do renovations in a school. Just curious, Derek, if you could share what it's like when you have one part of a school that staff can't enter or students can't enter, or you have to block people away. Just how does that work? Because I think that's something that, and has that situation happened during some of these renos that you did?
It's very hectic anytime you do any kind of project. What I find is it's interesting to see a video when everything is complete, but also it's very interesting to walk into a project when it's first starting, like this big one that's happening at Edward Schreier School with the HVAC upgrade. It's amazing how much work is demoed and trying to put the puzzle back together in very tight timelines. Realistically, you have 6 weeks prior to when secretary staff start arriving back to school. So it's very hectic. It's a lot of emptying out the classrooms, preparing the classrooms for contractors. It's relocating all the items that are in each classroom and then bringing everything back up to another level before school startup. It is very, very hectic. And sometimes I wonder, doing this for 25 years, there's many times that I wonder, I went home at night and sleepless nights wondering how the school's ever going to be ready, but somehow things just seem to fall in place. We got, again, a great team of contractors that are usually working on their jobs, and they're very dedicated, and they recognize the tight timelines, and it's a team environment, and everybody steps up to the plate, and it seems to be, turns out to be a successful project for us.
Thank you.
Anyone else for Derek? Derek, one last comment. I was in Parview School at the office today, and I had two secretaries with big smiles on their faces as they know that their doorbell and video conferencing thing was getting put in, so they were pretty happy, and they were saying thanks to me, and I said, well, it's not really me that did that at all, but kudos, Derek, certainly from the staff here.
You're welcome, and also the comment is, again, thanks to the Board of Trustees for allowing these projects to happen. You guys brought this stuff to the table and recognized the importance of it, going back to the, again, the office barriers and the video intercom system. It's all important stuff that has been approved by the board. And again, thank you very much for the support.
Well, thanks, Derek. And I'm not going to say have a great summer off. Have a real busy summer. We appreciate it, and we'll look forward to when we're back in August to getting an update with you from how things are going. So thanks again for what you've done.
You're welcome.
We're going to move on. 5.1 is our minutes. So minutes of June the 1st. Be it resolved that the board adopt the board meeting minutes of June the 1st. In a mover and a seconder. Moved by
Peczkowski.
Trustee Peczkowski, seconded by
Trustee Rowland.
Trustee Rowland. Thank you. Any comments?
Trustee Duma has a question.
Go ahead.
I was looking at where did the compensation disclosure report get put? I noticed that it was not in your regular minutes.
I don't think that it's there. I think that it's in the agenda, Scott. It is part of it's in part of your report today, is it not? That it still needs a signature and then to get signed. Is that right?
I believe it was there just for information, but I believe it was in camera, Trustee Duma, last meeting. But Paul's correct. Just waited for feedback from the trustees, and I think I've got none so far, so I just need the chair's signature, and it will be going up on the website as soon as I can get Trustee Magnon to sign off.
So I guess my question is, for where is the recording in our public portion that says that we have followed the legislation and received the compensation disclosure summary ending December 2020? And where is that, so that the public knows that it's in our minutes and we have followed the legislation and received it? Is that, where would that be?
Yeah, that's a fair question, Trustee Duma. We didn't discuss in regular, so there would be no record. So that's something we may want to do, just to receive the report.
So Diane, to answer your question, is that it was not received in regular as of yet, so it'll have to be received today.
Okay, so could we just make sure that it formally recognizes that it's the compensation disclosure, the year, and that it was, the report was provided by MNP? Could that be included in some sort of record in our minutes that are coming up now today?
So it's not in the, so we did not in regular last week. We did at our last meeting, we did not receive those minutes. We did not receive that compensation package. It'll have to, for it to go into the minutes, we would have to have received it. So we will have to receive it tonight, and that's something that Scott will, as he's giving his report, he'll do tonight. Does that make sense?
Yeah, as long as it's somewhere. Thanks, because I know I didn't attend the June 1st meeting, and I didn't know what happened to it. Where did it go?
So it's a good question. It wasn't received at our last meeting in regular. Okay, so we have the minutes of June the 1st. Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll vote. And it passed 6 in favor, 2 were opposed, and 1 abstained. We are going to move on to our superintendent's report. Superintendent Timko, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I am going to follow a little bit along on the, I guess, thank yous and kudos and gratitudes. To start with a little bit of where we're at with the COVID situation over the last 2-week period. So between May 31st and the 11th of June, which would have been Friday, the division had logged an additional 9 positive cases. There were 3 more on the weekend, so I will just verbally update that there is now 2 positive cases at École Beauséjour Early Years School, 1 at Springfield Collegiate, and then we were up to 9 at École Edward Schreyer School. So currently École Edward Schreyer School is in remote learning across all the grade levels. They will stay that way until this coming Friday, the 18th. And then pending any further cases or any changes from public health, we will have in-class options available for students beginning Monday, the 21st. Letter will go home to families probably Thursday. Will give us enough time to let families know, and also to monitor the situation and make sure that we're in good stead there. I do want to say thank you to principals and assistant principals and teachers, because every time we call them in the evening or the weekend, they are at the ready to get into our student information system, to get seating plans, to get class lists, and to help us with contact tracing. And they have been absolutely jumped to the pump with that, along with our transportation department, who gets us bus seating plans and helps us track who is on buses and who is in classrooms. So throughout the system, we have been just, again, knocking it out of the park with the contact tracing. I would be remiss not to mention how Scott and Jackie and Jason Lang support the contact tracing all through the days and the evenings and the weekends. Couldn't do it without those guys. Manitoba Education has also amended the grad guidelines. Prior to June 8th, there were 2 options for graduates, and I echo what some of the other trustees have said already. It's a tough year to be a grade 11 or a grade 12 student, and this isn't sort of what you had envisioned for graduation, because none of us get to gather with friends or with family and to do those things because of the public health directives. So up to June 8th, there were 2 options for graduation: a drive-up option, where a grad could hop out of the car, snatch their diploma and carry on, or virtual. And on the 8th of June, the province came out and said that we could actually do students only convocation during the school day. So a classroom full of graduates may be able to have convocation in the gym and accept their diploma. Can't have any outside people, no public, no parents, but it is a way that if students want to be getting their diploma and graduating with their friends, that they can do that. I've given you the graduation dates there. And again, the staff at the school, as well as the graduates and the parents, have just been absolutely stellar in understanding that communication and what we can and can't do. And if I had a magic wand, that would be one of the places where I would love to wave it to let the grads get some celebration for what they've accomplished. They'll find different ways to make sure that they do that. I do have to give a gigantic shout out to Patty Watman and Jen Baker. They have been putting together our long service and retirement video. And I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say, but I got a sneak peek in terms of editing and looking at it today. And I needed some Kleenex in a couple of places. It was pretty touching to have the number of people who have submitted video toasts and PowerPoints and photos and tributes and words in our video. So it will be up on our website. We will hit play at 7 o'clock on June 17th. It will be available after that. But I think that Patty and Jen have done just a brilliant job with the video of our long service and retirement celebration. Tune in, it is quite fantastic. I'm excited about the next bullet because we've had some folks in our division office working on some summer fun, some things that are summer learning and things that families can do either together or for their kids that we'll be sending home and have on our website over the summer so that people can kind of do some learning activities through the month of July and August. It is, again, the last sentence there, activities are for all ages and aren't limited to kids only when it comes to trying them out. So I'll issue the challenge to trustees to try out a couple of those things when it comes out. I think it's a fantastic way to remind families about those things that exist just in everyday life that can become a learning opportunity for everybody. So it's been a real neat work in progress. Again, I guess finally at the last board meeting of the school year, I am thrilled and super proud to be the superintendent of Sunrise School Division because there isn't a single person in this division who has not had the hard work and dedication and daily grind of just getting stuff done in the name of educating our children. From every single employee group to the people in the division office to the trustees around the board table, this has really kind of been everybody paddling the boat and making sure that we can all safely get to the finish line. And that helps me be a really proud superintendent of the school division. So for all those families, all the staff, everybody who's had any iota of help this year, just thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thanks, Kath. Well put. Does anybody have any questions for Kathy?
Oh, yes, Mr. Chairman, I just have one quick question.
Go ahead, Trustee Barry.
Can you hear me? I'm just curious whether the trustees are able to attend grad ceremonies via electronically, or is that possible or not possible?
Yeah, sadly, no one gets to attend graduation ceremonies, so students only. There's even limited staff, so I don't get to go, trustees don't get to go, parents don't get to go. It's either a drive up. So the schools that are doing a drive up, it's households only in the car, and then the grad is the only person who can get out and go get the diploma. And then they have to follow public health guidelines and stay by the vehicle. There will be, I think some schools are either taping it to post later virtually or are live streaming it so people can sit at home and watch from home. But there cannot be anybody extra in convocation if they do the students only diploma presentation. Those are the guidelines from the province, sadly.
Yeah, I understand. I just thought maybe there was an option for electronically, but if there isn't, so be it. I just thought I'd ask. Yeah. Okay.
Trustee Nickel?
Go ahead, Don.
Yeah, I thought that when the drive-in, anybody can, if they're going to drive by on the public highway, anybody can drive by on the public highway and see what's happening. they can't be in the same car as a student, but I think they can be on the road or on the side of the road as long as they stay in their car.
Yeah, so the drive up or the drive by has a number of vehicles, but it can only be household only in each vehicle. So you're right, it can be a number of vehicles that are coming up, and each of the schools are doing a really bang up job of what that looks like. If people are there in their vehicle, they do have to either stay in their vehicle. They can step outside their vehicle, but have to make sure that they're 2 meters away from anyone else if they come outside their vehicle.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else?
Trustee
thank-
Duma, just a question.
Go ahead.
I see that we received the invitation. Was there an agenda for the evening of the long service retirement dinner? Was there an agenda?
There isn't an agenda. It just goes through all of the toasts and roasts and the people speaking either on behalf of themselves or someone issuing, sharing photos and those kinds of things. It does go union by union, and it is bookmarked when you log on. So the video is already pre-recorded, and you can log on and watch that all the way through, and it will bookmark which union is on at which point in time. The program, I think, is just the listing that Jen would have sent out today in terms of who we're honoring, but it does just sort of go by union groupings.
Anyone else? Questions for Kath? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. Thanks very much, Kathy, for that. Secretary Treasurer's Report 7.1, Scott.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I'll touch on a few things in my report. It's filed, it's there. I want to thank Derek, first of all, for presenting tonight, and for each of these groups. I'll mention a couple of things. Really hard work on behalf of his maintenance folks for the entire year, keeping everything sanitary and cleaning up after staff, including myself in the offices. They really went the extra mile and did a lot of work. Mentioned by Chair Magnon and also by Derek. 2 more approved projects this week, so I've uploaded some details on those. We have science lab renovations that are approved and will be in the planning stages this year and hopefully in activation next summer. One at Whitemouth and one at Powerview. So really good news there, both in great need of some upgrades. Our ICT techs, I want to pat Gordon, his team on the back too, and I think Kathy did mention this, that when we do get a COVID case and there needs to be communication out to the parents, we certainly rely on Gordon, his team at ICT to help us do that, whether it's school messenger or getting letters up on websites. They jump to the pump when they need to. Oftentimes I'm catching Gordon when he's at the store or driving home, and he's on it as soon as he gets to his house. So we appreciate the effort there. We're looking at.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate that. Gordon is very key to that process. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no, he's. I think you had mentioned it. Maybe it was in camera, Kathy. So just to say it out loud, but yeah, we certainly appreciate that. We'll be looking. I think tomorrow we have some interviews for an ICT tech. We had mentioned we're probably going to add a new technician this year to assist with some of the extra devices that have come into the system this year, partly because of COVID, but also because of need. So we'll be looking to do that as soon as tomorrow. We did renew our lease in Oak Bank for the ICT Business Center for 1 more year. I think it's working out well for the team over there. Certainly not a lot of space opening up in a central location there at schools. So, long term we'll look at some options, but for right now it's working out well for the ICT team. Transportation, again, I'll mention each of these employee groups. Bus drivers have really jumped to the pump too. After the morning and afternoon runs, sanitizing all the high touch surfaces, making sure that kids are wearing masks on the buses, and it can be a stressful environment no matter where you are in a pandemic situation, and when you're stuck in a fairly tight confines, hurtling down the highway becomes even more stressful. So the drivers certainly did fantastic this year. We've sent the vast majority of the buses that were left over for scrap. So we'll be looking at securing some funding out of that. It looks like it'll be about $20,000 that will go towards some of the repairs. Good news, the 4 buses that we ordered for our 21-22 fiscal year budget have arrived in Winnipeg. They go through some work at Maxim in Winnipeg, getting cameras all installed and hard drives for the cameras and things like that. So we're looking at very likely having those delivered out to us in Beausejour in July. So we're a little bit ahead of the game. We've been rushed the last couple of years in terms of getting them out and on the road for August. So a little more flexibility there. So those are ready to go. Finance, Trustee Duma rightfully mentioned our compensation disclosure report, which is required to be made public by June 30th, is complete. Waiting on Trustee Magnon, who attends the office on a periodic basis, to sign several things, including some contracts to attach his John Henry to that, and we'll have it up on the website. I'm not sure, and I'll let the board handle this if you want to have a resolution accepting that. It is also included under my report in ESB for reference, so it's the draft copy. We'll remove the draft watermark once Trustee Magnon has signed off, and we'll get that up on the website. We're kind of in a bit of a downtime. You know, we're closing up all our purchasing for this year, starting to gear up towards next. Some of my staff looking at holidays, late June, early July, to get a breather in before we really get going again in late July and August for preparation for the audit, which will start up in early September. So this is kind of the month and a half where we get a bit of breathing room over in finance. So great job, and you know we've been scrambling a little bit as an office. You know, depending on public health orders. Whether we're in the office, out of the office, we certainly try and strike that balance so that we can properly distance. And you know, tell you, it hasn't affected the work that we do a great deal. I appreciate staff being available, whether they're at home or in the office, to anybody who has a question via email, on cell phones, so on and so forth. So great job for them as well. That's pretty much it. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Scott. Any questions for Scott?
Trustee Duma,
Go ahead.
I wonder if we could entertain a motion that just states that the Board of Trustees receives the auditor's report of the compensation of Sunrise School Division for the year ended December the 31st, received as information, and will be posted on the website. That's it. Just so that it's on the record that we have the action item.
Yeah, I don't have any difficulty with going ahead and doing that, Diane.
Trustee Peczkowski will second that motion.
Okay, so we probably need just to get the wording on that official. Is there something that you can send to Stacy, or do you want to work on it right now?
I can try to type something into the chat. Sure.
Scott, can you work on it with Diane so that we can get it, and then we'll come back to it. And as soon as we see it in the chat, someone can let me know, and we'll come back to it and do that. I don't think that's a bad idea at all, Diane. Thank you.
I can take a shot at it here, Diane, and then you have a look and let me know what you think.
Put it in the chat, and we'll see where we get to. As we're doing that, is there any other questions for Scott?
Yeah, I just got one quick question, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Trustee Barry.
Yes, Scott, you mentioned that there's going to be a new ICT staff. I would assume that staff person was approved in the budget we passed. Would that be a fair comment?
We've actually, I think we had discussed this at one point. We actually went to administrators, and one of the needs certainly has been extra devices in schools for various reasons. The pushback, or the sort of the barrier to that, is having sufficient technicians in order to service those devices. So every time we add, a couple hundred devices, we need a technician. So we're actually looking at reducing a little bit the amount of supply budgets that are allocated to schools, and administrators were perfectly fine with that if it meant that they could get some more IT devices into their schools. So it's a bit of a rejig, Trustee Barry, that we're looking at reducing some areas of the budget so that we can fit in a technician.
Okay.
Is there anyone else that comment for Scott? Okay, hearing none. Thanks very much, Scott. I do see that Trustee Duma has put a comment or a motion into the chat. Do you want to read that out, Diane?
The Board of Trustees receives the audited schedule of compensation of the Sunrise School Division for the year ended December the 31st, 2020 for information, and that it will be posted on the Sunrise School Division website as per regulation.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder to that motion? I think Trustee Pachikowski, you were doing that?
Correct. I will second that motion.
Okay. Any questions to the motion?
Yeah, what was read is not exactly what's going on there, don't we? Is there something that says that we move that, or we just don't put that the Board of Trustees receives? There should be something
Well,
in front of that.
It would read, it is moved by Trustee Duma, or whatever, however you want to word it, but just.
Stacy, do you want to help us with that?
I believe that you're receiving them. I don't know that you're approving it. Sorry, I might have missed part of that conversation there.
Or you say, be it resolved, BEIT is what we often say.
Be
Be
it
it
resolved
resolved that the Board of Trustees, that goes at the front.
Correct.
Yeah, that'd be fine. Be it resolved. Is that okay, Dawn?
Yeah, just something.
Jared, is that okay? Jared, is that okay with you?
Yes.
All right. Any other questions for it? Okay, I see that Robin's back. We'll have to do this by hand, so I'll go around and round table to find out. Jared, how do you say?
Yes.
Karen?
Yep.
Art?
Yes.
Russ?
Yes.
Diane Duma?
Yes.
Diane Rowland?
Yes.
Don Nickel?
Yes.
Robin?
My apologies, I did not hear the motion.
Can you read it out again, Stacy, please?
Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees receives the audited schedule of compensation of Sunrise School Division for the year ended December 31, 2020 for information, and that it will be posted on the Sunrise School Division website as per regulation.
Thank you very much. I approve. Yes.
Thank you, and Paul's approved. So that goes 9-0. Thanks for doing that, Diane and Scott, getting it in there, and team for putting that together. There's no more questions for Secretary Treasurer. We're going to move on to board business, COVID costs. There's information or any update, Scott?
No, nothing different. We're on track to be looking at spending out the extra funding we got this year from the province to compensate for COVID costs. So we're good.
Thank you. 8.2 is a decision-making matrix review. Just so the public is aware, the board is working on learning sessions around how we make decisions and taking a look at the matrix that has been established with us. We met a few days ago, and just before the meeting, I sent all trustees some comments and some notes to the meeting that we had. There was a number of discussions that we had over certain things to get some clarification. Certainly your email back and forth as we go through to comments on that are more than welcome. So that's for information. So you would have just received that probably before the meeting. 8.3 is the RM of broken air proposal to subdivide. It's for information. Scott, is there anything that anything more that we need to know?
No, not from my perspective, Mr. Chair, just for information.
Any questions then to Secretary Treasurer Carlton from anyone?
Trustee Duma, just a comment.
Go ahead.
I don't know if anybody has been getting a response from any of the municipalities in regards to these letters. Do you know if we've received any responses from anyone?
So I can tell you that we received a response asking us why we were asking for the dollar value or the land settlement. Stacy, can you remind me which one that was?
I believe that was the town of Beausejour.
Okay, so from the town of Beausejour, we sent a letter back to them. It was copied to everybody at our meeting about why we went ahead and sent a letter back to them. So we do get every once in a while, Diane, and if we do share it and send it back. So I'm not sure if that's what you were asking.
It is, but I also think that we don't get into the details maybe as much as we could. I think sometimes the towns or the municipalities may not understand when we say 136 of the Planning Act that like there might need to be more detail sometimes as to why we're asking for what we're asking for. And I think the board could have a richer conversation about the reality of the request.
So that was, Diane, the actual request from the town of Beausejour from the last one that we sent off to them. And so we sent it off with the answer, certainly as to as more developments grow, they came back to us asking us if do you know what we were going to add a school or add on, and we said at the time we don't know, but depending on the size of the subdivision and as to students it is, maybe we will have to. Scott, is there anything that I missed that we adding to that?
Yeah, no, I mean, the question was specifically, you know, why the need for the dollar value of the land, and you know, I guess the response from our perspective was, you know, there isn't necessarily an immediate need, but as our communities continue to grow, certainly at some point there might be a need to expand our facility. So you know, that was sort of the rationale behind the request, and you know, I think V thanked us for the answer. The representative of the town of Beausejour, and I think that was pretty much the end of it. But you know, having that discussion with RMs or towns may be valuable for sure.
I think that there's nothing wrong with us, you know, meeting with our municipalities, and I think Don's going to share in the next little while a little bit about a potential meeting with the municipalities, and that could be one of the things that we talk about as well.
Oh, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, just a sec. Anything more, Diane?
Okay, sorry.
Well, I do think that some of the things that the Board of Trustees has tried in the past is to build a better relationship with some of our local municipalities and towns. And some of the questions that come back sometimes is, who's going to get that money? If you could take the money from the town of Beausejour, do you spend it in Powerview? So, you know, like they want to know sometimes where that money going to stay in Beausejour, and sometimes those questions need to be discussed by the board as to, you know, when it gets put into a reserve account, how does it stay there? How do you make sure that it is serving the interest of the community that gave us that 10%? So I think some of those questions are not clear in our letter, and they might go beyond that to a question. The other piece of that is having a good conversation with Janice, or possibly the new lady there in the land planning department, about more information about the development that's going on. And sometimes they can provide good information to us too as that letter gets written. So I just think this is a conversation that could have more information in it as we move along.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Barry?
Yeah, for sure. We should have more conversation with municipalities. Like we maybe have to have a sort of a unified or response to them, just to refresh their memories that, you know, once there's more development, there's going to be more people, there's going to be more students, there's going to be more bus drivers, there's going to be more teachers, so it's going to be more cost to the Sunrise School Board. Like this is what's going to happen. This latest one's in Tyndall, so that's a development. Tyndall's a growing communities, all kinds of rental properties there, same as across from the Beausejour earlier school. So just we have to for sure be have more communication with our municipal partners, and to explain more thoroughly the reasons why these letters are coming out.
Okay, note taken, and it's something then that we need to bring up, you know, as we move into next year, certainly about relationships with our municipalities and particularly when some of these issues arise. We certainly will look into that. Thank you. We'll move on to 8.4 operational bylaw. It's our third reading. Be it resolved that the board approve the third reading of the operational bylaw 374-21. I need a mover.
Harris.
Trustee Harris, seconded by
I'll second it. Trustee Nickel.
Trustee Nickel. Any questions to our third reading? Okay, hearing none, we'll vote.
Sorry, I've been kicked out again.
Can you get back in?
Just got back in, sorry.
Okay. So it was passed 8-1. Thank you. We want to give an update regarding our Bill 64 and our ad hoc committee. So we have three kind of groups to our ad hoc committee that are doing some work with regard to what is our position with regard to Bill 64. So we have received some signs. We discussed it. Some of the trustees said you're interested. Some said that you're, well, whatever you want to go ahead and do. Jared, you want to confirm how many signs that we've received, or we received a group of signs and trustees could get them, and then certainly disperse them as they see fit. So that was our process. Did I miss anything about the sign part?
No, and just to confirm that we ordered and 100 signs have been delivered. So we have 100 signs.
Okay, so there are 100 signs that are at the division office. So I just want to find out from trustees that if they're looking for any signs, and these would be signs that A, they can put up themselves, B, they can bring them around to different areas in the community to put up. Trustees call as to how they wanted to go ahead and do. A number of you said you were interested. Some said that you weren't quite sure. But that is the first part of our plan of Bill 64 was our signs. So I just want to confirm with trustees about the signs as to where you go. So I'm going to ask around. Robin, are you interested in signs?
I'll get a list of what I think I might need. Not at the moment, but I will get some thoughts together. Thanks.
Okay. Don Nickel?
Not at this time.
Okay. Diane Rowland?
Hi, Paul. Just to a question. Did we not say maybe we would be making that available online for public to request?
We can. So part of it is, though, we said that since it's our initiative, they then could call their individual trustees to go ahead and do that. So I'm just saying is that, do you want to have some of those in case anybody can connect with you?
Well, I'm not sure what I would need exactly at this time, so I'd have to get some information on that and get back to you to see how many I would need.
Okay.
But I also wanted to maybe, should we just make the point as well that we didn't actually have to pay for these signs, that this was sent from MSBA, and we didn't as a division outlay additional cash for these signs. Is that clear to our people?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Russ?
No.
Art?
No.
Karen?
I'll get back to you via email. What I'm looking for. Thanks.
Thanks, Karen. Jarrett?
Yeah, I'll take some, but depending on the need, as I get requests from people, I'll grab some.
Okay, and then I'll take some as well. Thank you for that. So our plan talked about we had a committee. The committee was myself and Jarrett It was Robin and Diane Rowland and Don Nickel. And so there were 3 parts to the committee. So the first part was a part that Robin and I are working on. And Robin and I are working on about 2 letters. Trustees, you would have received those letters sometime tonight. We want you to take a look at them. So those are 2 letters for us to go ahead and send out at different times over the next little while, as well as us providing information on our website with regard to what is having a tab of Bill 64 and having information about where they can get information about Bill 64. Robin, do you want to just talk briefly about what are some of the things under that tab of Bill 64?
You caught me off guard. I don't have it on the screen. I'm sorry. It highlights different items and has links to other resources so that readers to our website can be sent off to other places such as MSBA, actually read the government bill, and so on, and other school divisions where they have some other informational pages.
Yes, thank you. The second part was the group decided that we would go ahead and meet with the municipalities. So Don took on that task, and so Don, I'm going to give you the floor with that.
Okay, I talked to I forgot her name now. Well, I set up a meeting. We've got a meeting on September 13th with the municipalities. Right now, there might be 2 presentations. So if there's 2 presentations, we have somewhere between a half an hour, 3/4 an hour. If one of the presentations falls through, and I will know within a couple of weeks, then we can expand the time that we have. So I haven't worked out what kind of format is, because I'm not quite sure whether it's going to be a half an hour, 3/4 hour, hour and a half. So I'll wait until I get more information the next 2 weeks to see how long it will be. And then I'll start working on the format, how we're going to meet with the municipality, whether it's going to just be a report or whether it's going to be a presentation or whether it will be just question and answer period. So I'll have to wait until I know the time.
Thanks, Don. So a few of us have attended some of the other school divisions' presentations, and what they've got, many of the school divisions have had an outside person come in and talk a little bit about Bill 64 and trying to provide as much information to parents and community members, and then held a question and answer period. So that's one of the things that Don's talking about, is that whether it's a presentation or whatever by someone to give the municipality some information, and then question and answer period from that. Thanks, Don. And the third part of the committee was Diane Rowland and Jared Pachakowski, and it was with regard to town halls. I don't know which one of you wants to go ahead and talk about it. Jared or Diane?
I can, Diane, if you're okay with that.
Yes, Jared, go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, we're going to be working together on kind of arranging for some town halls in the fall. So looking to have some in September or October. And the format that we're looking to do is a panel style, have some independent folks who have been in the system, so education system before, either currently still working or have previously worked in the system, and or have some sort of connection to Sunrise School Division, to come in and present the facts on Bill 64. So some of the highlights of the legislation, and then obviously kind of a question answer period for any of the attendees who decide to attend our town halls from our division. So that's sort of the platform that we're working towards, and it's a work in progress. So when hopefully we can establish some dates and our speakers before the end of June here, and then we'll get back to the board when we have something more firm in place. Thank you.
Thank you. The last part is a number of us have been able to sit in on some of the province's question and answer periods that they've had. The University of Manitoba has put on a webinar. They put one on last Thursday. There's another one this Thursday. And we had the academics certainly talking about their thoughts from an academia point of view with regards to the bill. This Thursday, if you're not aware, former Assistant Superintendent Dr. Leslie Ebley-Trudel of Sunrise School Division is talking on a webinar with regard to, I'm pretty sure it's Kathy, it's about inclusion and how Bill 64 meets with inclusion and from an academia point of view. And my take on the one last Thursday was the three professors that spoke at it felt that the bill was lacking a lot of information and the detail that they were looking for to find out where things were certainly wasn't there, and they didn't seem to be backed in research. Kathy, you were on there. Is there anything that I missed or that you wanted to add about it, that webinar?
No, you're good.
Okay. Have I missed anything from our committee? Okay, hearing nothing, then it's open to the board. Do you have any questions for the committee about the things that are planned around Bill 64?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I think it would be only apropos, since this is a direction the board may or may not take, that we should have a resolution approving the action of this committee, so we all vote on it. And it should be in the minutes.
Okay. When we met, just thanks for that. When we met last time, board members, please remind me that when we set up this committee, what was the direction for this committee from the board? Can anyone?
I think that we were supposed to publicize Bill 64, and I thought there was a motion to set up the committee.
Stacy, there. Can you remind us certainly about what the direction was about the committee?
It's just going to take me a quick minute.
Paul, Trustee Magnon, it's Trustee Pachkowski, or Chairman Magnon. My apologies.
That's fine. That's fine.
I have notes and I have a good memory of the discussion on the committee. So we didn't put forward a motion. That was something that I suggested when we had the discussion, if it was something we needed. And I believe I was informed, no, we didn't, but I did feel at the time I would agree with Trustee Barry, just to formalize it, that we should probably establish a committee with a motion, or give the committee direction with a motion at least. But yeah, that was the discussion we had. So that I had brought it up, and we decided, the decision at that time was that, or I guess the correction or response to my request was that we didn't need one.
Okay, so Trustee Barry, what motion would you like to put forward?
I'll leave it up to one of the committee members to bring the motion forward. But we should, for sure, should be voting on it.
Okay. Suggestions from, I don't know if somebody wants to put a motion forward or not.
Trustee Pachkowski can.
Go ahead.
Be it resolved, the board establish a committee, an ad hoc committee. I'll need a second, but I'll get one in a second here.
Okay, so let's come back to that. Are there any comments about the action with regard to bills, with regard to the committee and the Bill 64 from anyone else?
Trustee Nickel.
Go ahead, Don.
In that motion, we should also find out if we can expend any money, because the ad hoc committee has no authority to expend any money. So if we get any of these speakers out or presenters, it usually costs us at least an honorarium. So in the motion should be something that how much money we can spend. Otherwise, we got to go back at the end of August to approve how much we can spend, and that's kind of late.
Okay. Okay, so as we're doing that, let's think about that as we go through. Any other comments to Bill 64, the committee? Okay, so we'll come back to that motion as we're working through it. 8.6 talks about a carryover request. Scott, did you want to? There's an action item to this. Be it resolved that the board approve the request to carry over surplus funds of 2021-22 in the amount of not to exceed $14,750. And basically it's for 2 schools. Scott, first of all, before I can get it on, do I have a mover and a seconder to this? Moved by
Trustee Rowland.
Trustee Rowland, seconded by
Trustee Nickel.
Trustee Nickel. Scott, want to comment on this?
Yeah, just really quickly, it's a pretty unique situation. Obviously, we looked at school carryovers last week. It came to our last board meeting, pardon me. It's come to light since the last board meeting that these 2 schools had committed some school funds and some divisional dollars. They were going to put climbing walls in their gymnasiums. For some very unique circumstances, including COVID, the equipment is not going to be available to be installed by June 30th, and this was something they were really looking forward to. So I did suggest that I would bring a carryover request to the board.
Thank you. Any questions to Scott about this? Okay, hearing none, we'll vote. Chair, you need to vote. Chair, did you get kicked out of the meeting? Oh, there we go. 9-0. Thank you. We have our committee reports and recommendations. So our policy committee. We have an action item from board minutes on our policy committee. Be resolved that the board follow their own policy number 7 with regard to recording of minutes complying with 7.72, which states that the parliamentary authority used for Sunrise School Division is meeting Robert's Rules of Order. The recording of minutes shall continue to include the members present at the meeting and then follow the guidelines listed in the Robert's Rules of Order. So Robin, this is from your policy committee. Are you moving this, Robin?
Yes.
Trustee Harris, moved by Trustee Harris, seconded by?
Trustee Nickel.
Trustee Nickel, thank you. Any questions to this motion? Okay.
Trustee Duma, I have a question.
Go ahead, Trustee Duma.
Or a comment. One of the things that needs to be clarified is Robert's Rules of Order has 13 editions. Usually what we do is to try to say it's Robert's Rules of Order, the most recent edition or the most current edition, because it was just redone, I believe it was in 2020. So the latest edition of Robert's Rules of Order should be stated in that. And then the other piece of that is, I think that I'm a bit disappointed that there is no greater expectation based on the work of the ad hoc committee, because policy 7 doesn't speak to a lot of the issues that have come up in the minutes. And I think it's interesting that the ad hoc committee, when we had the discussion with the staff, were quite agreeable to the clarity that was put into the ad hoc committee recommendations. It helped to clarify for the staff expectations, and there wasn't disagreement with it. So I'm a little bit disappointed that this motion and the next one too, they just don't really add into the conversation about minutes.
Thank you, Trustee Duma. Comments from anyone? Any other questions?
Yeah, I'd like to since I'm the second, I'd like to, and I guess I missed it. We put, because any other time we always put down the current edition of Robert's Rules of Order.
So you'd like to see that where it says some meeting, the Robert's Rules of Order, current edition?
Yes.
Is that okay? Robin, is that okay for you?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. Any other comments?
I'd also like to make a comment that just in terms of Robert's rules, when the motion is put to the board, has this been moved and seconded already?
It has.
Okay, so when it's moved and seconded to the board, then the people that respond to any amendments or changes to it is the whole board. It doesn't belong to the mover and the seconder anymore. It belongs to the board. So that's what Robert's rule says, and it's not referred back to the mover and the seconder for any changes. The board has to agree to that amendment, all of the members.
Okay, so our practice has been.
Okay, I guess so I guess I wasn't clear in what I said. I shouldn't indicate that was a amendment I was making to the motion.
So you're not making an amendment,
No.
Don?
Yeah, I'm making an amendment. The amendment would be, and that's what I kind of said I'd like to put in there, which I guess I should have said amendment. I'm making an amendment, so we're going to vote on it. Amendment that will say current edition.
Okay, so we have an amendment to a current edition. We have a seconder by Trustee Harris. Are there any questions to that amendment of Robert's Rules of Order current edition? So we're going to vote on the amendment. We'll have to do this by hand. Jarrett, how do you say on the amendment?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Art?
Yeah, sure.
Russ? Russ?
Yes, sorry, I was muted.
That's okay. Diane Duma?
Yeah, I'm gonna play with words, but usually the language is latest edition because all the editions could be
Diane,
considered
so the
workable.
motion is the current edition. You need
Yeah.
to turn, yes,
So-
thank you. So you can only vote yes or no on it because they've got, that's what we're asking for. So it's a
Right.
current edition.
I'm gonna
Okay.
vote no.
Thank you. Diane Rowland,
Yes.
Don Nickel,
Yes.
Robin Harris,
Yes.
Paul Mangnell's a yes. So it passed 8-1. So that was for Robert's Rules of Order current edition. So now we've got the motion. And the motion is made by Trustee Harris, seconded by Trustee Nickel. So our amended motion. Any questions to our amended motion? Okay, having none, can we vote on this electronically or do we have to do it by hand? Stacy?
You can vote electronically, and I will just make sure that that word is added into the minutes and onto ASB after the fact, if that's okay.
Thank you. So we'll vote. Trustee Barry, you have to vote. So 7 in favor and 2 are opposed. Thank you. It passed. And the second one that's coming out of the policy committee is be it resolved that the board follow their own policy number 8 with regard to correct complying with 811 section 5, which states that the board address concerns privately, praise publicly. Trustees will strive to forward any corrections to administration prior to the regular meeting. I need a mover.
Harris.
Trustee Harris, second by
Trustee Nickel.
Trustee Nickel. Thank you. Any comments or questions from trustees?
Trustee Duma?
Go ahead, Trustee Duma.
I think that this motion conflicts with Robert's Rules of Order because Robert's Rules of Order, this is not about a code of conduct for privately praising criticizing him. This is about the correction of the formal minutes of a board, which are done publicly, where you do correct them in the public forum. It's this. I think that this one does not. This does not comply with what correcting minutes are in Robert's rules. This has nothing to do with addressing concerns privately and praising publicly. This is not about praising at all. This is about corrections to minutes for their accuracy. So I have a real hard time with this motion, trying to make it appear as if the correction of minutes, of board minutes, adheres to private praising. It has nothing to do with praising. It has to do with correcting. So I just totally disagree with the motion. It doesn't make any sense to me. So I would vote against it, but I'd also think that it shows where we have an issue with minutes and understanding what minutes are about. And I think this just reflects that issue that we have by having this motion put here.
Thank you, Trustee Duma. Any other trustees want to speak to this?
Yeah, I will. What it just says is that, and this is what I've always done, sometimes when you look at the minutes, there happens to be a comma that is missing. Well, instead of me spending time in the public explaining to Stacy that there's a comma missing, because when she sends it to us, it's only a draft anyway, it makes sense for me to go and phone her and say, look, I noticed there's a comma missing, so it saves everybody's time. So this is what this motion is trying to address, is that if we see a mistake beforehand, that instead of wasting everybody's time, I'm going to use the word waste everybody's time to correct a grammatical mistake or some other mistake, that we try to make that mistake. Sometimes you don't see it until the day of the meeting, and then at that time, it doesn't say that we have to have it on the day of the meeting. We can do it on the day of the meeting, but if we find out before the day of the meeting, we should try to see if it can be corrected, and then Stacy can put up revised minutes. And that's, if you notice that has happened in the past, you'll see that Stacy puts up minutes, and then a day or two later, there'll be revised minutes because someone has phoned her or let her know that there is a kind of a mistake in there, and then she goes back to the recording and makes sure that it was correct, and it is correct. She makes that mistake, and it does save time. So that's why I urge everybody to vote for it.
Thanks, Trustee Nicol. Anyone else want to comment? Okay, hearing none.
Well, just one comment, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Trustee Barry.
I don't think it's unreasonable to bring up a minor change at the board meeting and just pass the minutes as revised. Like, I still sort of confused why some people feel that's a waste of time. It's just short and sweet, but that's my opinion. I don't think it's unreasonable to do that.
Thanks, Trustee Barry. Anyone else? Okay, hearing none, we'll vote. So 6 were in favor and 3 were opposed. It passed. Thank you. So I think that was probably the last work of our policy committee. Thanks to our policy committee, Chair Harris, and for the group that have been working on things. We appreciate the time that you've spent this year on policy, and thanks, Kath, for going ahead and doing that. Chair Harris, is there anything that you want to add with regard to policy on the closing?
No, it was a good year, a good committee. I think we got a lot done, and I'm sure there's more to be done next year. Thank you.
Thank you. Finance Committee update. Chair Rowland, is there anything that you need to add?
Nothing to add at this time. We have a meeting at the end of the month to do our final review, and nothing to add at this time.
Okay, so the same thing. I think we would like to thank yourself, Chair Rowland, and your committee for the work that you've done on the Finance Committee this year. We appreciate it. Yeah, one final report, and we'll certainly get a copy of that. Thank you for going ahead and doing that.
Thank you very much, Paul.
So professional development, we don't have any information. We don't have a financial monitoring report as we did have them last time we got together. Board correspondence, you've got that information. I continue to share that information as I get it. There's nice to know information, press release. So before we go to the questions from the public, Trustee Pachakowski, do you have that motion ready?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have a motion, but I want to have a further resolved motion with regards to what Trustee Nicol suggested about, budgetary, like, so spending. And I don't know where to go with that. I believe to communicate more clearly, I guess, there is some funds that are being directed towards our board from the Manitoba School Boards Association to engage our communities on Bill 64 and what the legislation means for our communities. So I'm not sure that, I'm just not sure that any new funding would be required for the endeavor. So I'm not sure where to go with that second part. So I'm just looking for feedback or input, I guess.
Scott, the money that we're getting from the MSBA, money back from the MSBA. Can you refresh our memory about it?
Well, I think there was direct money for engagement on Bill 64, and that wasn't much. I think it was $450, but there was further to that. There was some surplus from MSBA, and I apologize, Paul, I don't have the amount in front of me.
Okay.
Is it possible just to put in the motion that we will spend up to the amount of money that we're getting from the MSBA?
The issue is that I think that we're getting a fair bit of money back from MSBA, are we not, Scott?
Yeah, I want to say it's it's into certainly into the six figures.
So I don't think that we need to spend six figures, Don, certainly on anything.
So
go ahead.
Just this. So I don't know, like, that the money that we're getting back from MSBA is as far as I understand, is directed for engaging our communities with respect to this proposed legislation. So I don't know that I could. A motion to spend dollars isn't required as long as we don't spend over that, and I don't think we're going to. We're not going to get close, in fact. So yeah.
We need a motion. We need a motion because the committee, according to our operation bylaw, committee cannot spend any money. It's only the board that can spend the money. So
your motion, you're right, Don. So the motion then is that not to overspend any more than the money that we're getting back from MSBA. Is that something that that would satisfy that, Don?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So I got the motions here, and I can send them to Stacy after.
Go ahead.
So it's be it resolved, the board approve an ad hoc committee to engage the community on Bill 64, the Education Modernization Act. Be it further resolved, the board approve expenditures up to the amount received from the Manitoba School Boards Association for community engagement regarding Bill 64, the Education Modernization Act.
Okay, we need a mover. So that's moved by Trustee Pachakowski, seconded by?
Trustee Nicol.
Trustee Nicol, thanks, Don. Comments from anyone? Questions?
Trustee Duma?
Go ahead, Trustee Duma.
Why can't you put a dollar amount on it, up to a certain amount? If your commentary is that it's a six-figure amount, I think that what we just said publicly, and then to put a motion forward saying up to that amount, I'm quite concerned by that motion. Number one, that money isn't ours, it belongs to the taxpayer anyway. I don't know why there could be some sort of estimate coming forward as to how much you think you need and put up to that amount and make it more definitive.
Thank you, Trustee Duma. Anyone else?
Trustee Petrikowski, would it be unreasonable to not to exceed 5,000?
Well, the trouble is that we still in our planning stage. We don't have a meeting till August, and we have no idea. At least I don't have any idea if I'm going to get that presented, how much it's going to cost, what it's going to cost to all the other things that we're going to put there. If we're going to put anything in the paper, we can put anything in the news, like on the free press, where we can put something in the Clipper. The MSBA kind of gave us the money to spend it on Bill 64. So since they gave it for that thing, that's the only thing we can spend it on. We can't go and spend it on anything else. We can't spend it on cleaning supplies or anything else. They were quite specific in what we could spend it on. So if we don't spend it, we're going to give it back to them because we can't spend it for anything else. So it's not really belong to the taxpayers, because the taxpayers will never won't get a benefit from it to reduce taxes, because they gave it to us on that condition only. We can only spend on Bill 64.
Can I make a suggestion? What happens if we turn around and say up to $20,000, and if there's more money that is needed, that will come back to the board. So therefore, if we're going to look for honorariums for speakers or whatever, we have more than enough money to go ahead and do that. And if we want to go ahead and look for other money, if we need more money, and yes, certainly all talking about engaging the community, but if we need more, we can come back in August and get more. Would that work, Don and Jared?
That'd work for me.
Jared, would that work for you?
Sure. I you know what, I missed some of that. Like right now, for that part, I have. So you're saying $20,000?
An initial cost of $20,000, and that if we need more, we come back to the board for more. So right now, Trustee Duma is there's nothing wrong with us putting a dollar figure to it, and if Scott tells us that it's a six-figure thing and we need more money, and we can come back in August. But between now and August, we know that if we're going to engage with some people, we do have the ability to spend some of that money, up to $20,000.
Yeah, I don't have that dollar figure. I didn't. Maybe I'm wrong. I didn't think that figure was that much.
Yeah, Jared, just I've been searching while you guys are talking. So there's a grassroots campaign fund that is definitely six figures. Our allocation would be substantially less than that, 7,286.
That sounds more likely. So let's say 7,000. Thank you, Scott. It was six figures totally provincial wide, and our school division is getting 7 of that, you're saying?
That was the allocation for the province, yes. Apologies. It prorated to Sunrise 7,286.
Okay.
So what my
so let's put that amount in then. 7,286, you said?
Yes,
correct,
he did.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Okay. So do you want me to reread the motions?
Please.
Okay. So be it resolved, the board approve an ad hoc committee to engage the community on Bill 64, the Education Modernization Act. Be it further resolved, the board approve the expenditure of monies not to exceed the amount of $7,286 of funds received from Manitoba School Boards Association to expense on community engagement regarding Bill 64, the Education Modernization Act.
Thanks. Don, you okay with that?
Yeah, I was okay with it before.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you were. Thanks, Don. Any other discussions with anybody?
Trustee Duma?
Go ahead, Trustee Duma.
I think there needs to be clarity that MSBA gets money by membership fees paid from school divisions across the province. So any money that comes back to us is because we paid membership dues and fees into That's where the money came from, correct? And the money that we now get is the money that is somehow being reallocated back to us, and it did come from the taxpayer. Correct?
I can speak to that, Paul.
Okay.
So absolutely, you're correct, Trustee Juma. Initially, absolutely. So the Manitoba School Boards is that's exactly what's happened. So we pay fees to our dues to the MSBA, and they've identified some savings, I guess, and those they've established the grassroots ad campaign, essentially that Paul Trustee Magnon's talking about, and those fees are being sent back to the divisions to use for community engagement regarding Bill 64. And if we don't use those fees, we aren't getting them back.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good clarification. Anyone else?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I might.
Go ahead, Trustee Barry.
Yes, well, thanks for the resolution there. I guess everybody knows my feeling on, but maybe I'll give a more detailed history behind the reasons why I feel the way I feel. We have to, I think it was Trustee Duma said that we were governed by the province of Manitoba under the Public Schools Act, and the province of Manitoba has also has the right to pass legislation regarding school boards, and they've in the process of discussing Bill 64, and that's going to be according to our MLAs that we passed in the fall. And I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be passed, because the present government has a majority in the House and they're adamant on proceeding with this. And as I said to the board in the past, I haven't heard anybody in my community say any opposition whatsoever to this Bill 64. And as far as the municipal component, I was just on the municipal councils. I'd be very surprised if we have any support on this. I could be wrong on that, but I'd be very surprised if we would. So consequently, I wouldn't support this motion.
Thanks, Trustee Barry. Anyone else? Okay, hearing none.
Trustee Pachkowski would like to respond.
Go ahead.
So I can only speak for myself as a trustee and as an elected official in, from my catchment area in our school division. But I feel that it's my responsibility as an elected official to represent my constituents and my communities the best that I can. And from doing my own research and reading with regards to the legislation, some of the legislation, and I will be clear about this, some of the legislation is, I think, there was a place for some change, absolutely. And I would be, I think, a fool to deny that. I think there's some things that needed to happen with our education system that was long overdue. But in the same breath, this legislation is with no doubt in my mind going to impact our communities in a negative way. It's going to impact our ratepayers in a negative way, but most importantly, it's going to impact our students and our educators and the employees that we have in our division in a negative way. And so I haven't heard, I've heard obviously from a number of people in the community that are concerned about the legislation. And I don't think I've heard from a lot, and I would echo what Trustee Barry says a bit, but at the same time, any legislation that goes through the Manitoba legislature is not a interesting read. It's quite boring read in fact. And a lot of people aren't aware of how this might impact them personally, or how it might impact our schools, or how it might impact our communities. And so I feel that it's our job as elected officials, especially elected officials within the education system, to educate and inform and engage our communities when we feel that a piece of legislation is going to have a negative impact on the education system. And that's why I'm taking a stance in regards to making sure that we do what we can to provide that information to our communities. I'm not looking to provide my personal opinion. It's just to provide facts. like I said, there's a lot of information in the bill. It's quite a lengthy document, and some of it's very clear. And to the comment regarding municipalities, I would have difficulty believing that municipalities won't be supportive, because what's happened, and it's coming out of the legislation, and I will speak to it because it's from the legislation, is that education property taxes are being phased out, as you're all aware, and people are receiving checks in the mail as rebates. But the legislation is very clear in saying that essentially what's going to happen is the province is going to, the revenue has to come from somewhere, and the funding is still going to be coming from the same source. The province is going to be essentially sending bills to municipalities, and those municipalities are going to be responsible to implement a special levy and charge that to real and personal property owners. So I just advise, and I've said this publicly, and I'm saying it publicly again, is I would just advise people to, go and read and do your research and look at it and read through the legislation, because some of it is scary. I think some of it was needed. I think there's some really positive things in there, but there's also some things that are quite scary. And I think we need to do our best to, have the legislation come out and be a win-win for everybody, and mainly our communities. And I think so. I guess that's where I'll end it. And I just encourage trustees, and I encourage community members that do watch and listen to go and read and do their research and look into it themselves and form their own opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else to comment?
Yes, I would just like to echo what what Jared said, is that it's quite possible that Bill 64 will pass, but what we're doing now, and that's what the government is doing, that's why they're having all these committees. They are trying to look to see what is the best bill. If they thought that the bill that they put out forward was the best bill, there was no changes to be possible. Why would they waste their time with all these consultations? The reason that they're doing this consultation is because they know that the more minds you have thinking about something, the better it becomes. So that's why I think it's important for us, like Jared said, is to inform the public what is happening. And there are some things that I believe that should be changed, and it'd be beneficial to the students and to the staff. And there are some other things that could stay, but I think it's important for us to be informed, and we should be putting the information on the website.
Thanks, Don. I'm just going to remind trustees that I sent you an email that was sent to me from MSBA on May 25th, and it was about local voices, local choices, Stop Bill 64, provincial and grassroots campaign. And the second part of the in the email was the creation of a $250,000 fund administered by MSBA. And so divisions can access this on a proportional basis. You can use this fund to place ads in local community papers, place ads on local radio stations, boost your own social media presence, order lawn signs, or use it for projects that serves to promote your outreach to your local community with regard to Bill 64 and the plan that you have. So again, thanks for the clarification. But that's money that is available to us for that. So thanks for the comments from everybody. Hearing no more. Stacy, we're going to vote electronically, right? Stacy,
No,
you're there?
Sorry. Yep. Sorry. My mic was off. This will have to be by hand.
Okay.
Or by.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay. So Trustee Harris, how do you say?
Yes.
Trustee Nickel, how do you say?
Yes.
Trustee Rowland, how do you say?
Yes.
Trustee Duma, how do you say?
No.
Trustee Pachuski, how do you say?
Yes.
Trustee Inslee, how do you say?
No.
Trustee Barry, how do you say? Trustee Barry? Trustee Barry, are you there? I'll try to come back to him. Trustee Reed, how do you say?
Yes.
Trustee Magna is a yes. Trustee Barry, how do you say?
No.
Okay, so the motion is passed in 6-3. Thank you for that. As I move forward through our agenda, thanks for putting that that motion. Good, healthy discussion certainly around it. Questions from the public, Scott. We're at 14. Are there any questions from the public that you've received?
Just pulling up my email, Mr. Chair, and no, there are no questions.
Okay, so we do not have to move into in camera or move into regular. I just want to comment as this is our final meeting. Certainly, again, I want to reiterate saying thank you to Kathy and Scott and Jackie and Stacy for the work that you've done with us in the board. I've made comments already about thanking our board, our committee chairs, Robin, Diane, and Dawn. If I've missed another committee chair, please let me know. Thank you certainly to our fellow trustees, Jarrett and Karen and Art and Russ and Diane Duma, and many late nights. We spent a lot of time in the past little while with learning sessions with some healthy discussions. I think some people will say, let's have more of those discussions. Some people of you will say, let's have less of those discussions. We've had lots of technology challenges with getting stuff together in this pandemic, but I think that we've mucked through it and it came out of it pretty good. There's nothing wrong with discussions where people have different points of view. I think that different points of view are healthy. And at the end of the day, the board makes a decision and we move forward, certainly with going ahead and doing that. So again, thank you to all of you for the work that you've done. I'm going to let anybody else comment if they'd like to.
Trustee Rowland here. I would just also like to say thank you to our chair, Paul Magnan, and to our vice chair, Jared Pachkuski, for all the real hard work that you've done this year. There has been an abundant amount of meetings and information exchanging, and more so than any other year, I feel, and you guys did rise to the challenge and heading up our board this year. So thank you very much.
Anyone else?
Just a special thank you to our senior admin and our entire staff in Sunrise School Division for everything they've had to go through these last, 14, 15 months. It's just great what they've had to accomplish, and here's fingers crossed that we're back in the positive come September. Thanks to everyone.
Thanks, Trustee Harris. Anyone else?
Trustee Duma?
Go ahead, Trustee Duma.
I guess I'd like to add my thanks to the parents and students. Basically, that they are the reason that we are here, and we're hoping that they receive the education through the COVID times that was the best that we could give them during COVID. And I think kudos to them also for the hard work they've done. I'd like to add that in. Thanks.
Thanks, Trustee Duma. Anyone else? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Thank you, Trustee Duma. A big thank you to Trustee.
No one wanted to leave, Paul.
Yeah, I know. Thanks, guys. Stay safe. We'll communicate over the next little while, certainly where things are going. I will communicate throughout the summer with the board chairs, as I've spoken to you already, with how things are going. But certainly stay safe, everybody, and we'll be in touch.
Have a great night, everyone.
Stay safe.
Good night.
Good night.